on behalf of the Brotherhood, all of our senior captains here and our starting quarterback, Ty Lavatai, we want to thank all of you for coming out. It's exciting to come out here and have to kind of wait in the line to come up to, come to the ticket booth to see the fans back. And grateful to have all of you guys back here, all of the media and our friends. We're super excited about this year. This will be my 15th year being a head coach, and I just feel really, really good about this football team. Just great leadership, all that they've done from January, from the time we came back till today. Couldn't be more pleased. We still got a long ways to go. We recognize that this is going to be a tough year, but I love our football team. I love the chemistry that they're building. We still got a lot of practices to go this summer camp, but really exciting to see the foundation, what's happening with this football program, and it's going to be a great year. I just have a great feeling. A lot of stuff I do, I go off field, and I have a great feeling about this football team.
Questions? Wags.
Bill Wagner from the Baltimore Sun and the Capital newspaper. Coach, can you talk about the challenge of bouncing back from back-to-back losing seasons, and what do you think is the key to doing so?
One of them is practice. You know what I mean? So, just obviously, we didn't do the things we normally do to get ready. So it's in my mind, people think it's not complicated to me. You know what I mean? What we did this year was what I did 12 other seasons from January to this point. Just everything that we've done. Just everything. You had Secretary Dalton coming. He normally comes and speak, but he hasn't been able to come and speak because of, COVID and different things. Just everything that our team has been doing. And I've used this example before, but one of the workouts it was hot. We were pushing sleds. There were a ton of guys throwing up. And it was kind of gross, but I looked at our trainer and said, I don't think I've ever been more happy to see people throw up. That's what we haven't thrown up in the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So we're just doing all the normal things that a Navy football team does to get ready. And so that's why I feel good about this year. You know what I mean? We're just, everything to this point is what we've done 12 other years.
Gene.
Gene Wong with the Washington Post. Ken, with the number of young players that got on the field last year, how far ahead, if at all, does that put you now going into this next season?
Well, again, it's another great point. Had a lot of young players. It's very unfortunate to lose our two starting safeties again in the Air Force game. Two great players. But then we had some younger guys had to step up. But by the end of the season, both of those guys and Avon Gibbons and also Rayon Lane, they were playing really, really well. And so all of that helped. The tough schedule with the young players helped. I just feel like we've been through this christening, and I'm just encouraged because you go through the fire a little bit, so to speak. And going against each other, going against Coach Newberry's defense on offense, we run option football on offense, but there's a lot of things, like I said, Gene, that you feel good about because of some of the stuff that you've seen in the past. But the young guys, the experience that you get, there's no other way you can get that. You have to go through the fire. And a tough schedule accentuates it even more. So you kind of fight through the fire last year, but what's come through it, I feel really, really good about. And I think was evidenced by the last game. It's kind of all the furnace until you get to the last game, and you kind of see the results. And then we just built from that game on.
Dave Preston.
Good morning, gentlemen. Dave Preston, WTOP Radio in Washington. Question for Ken. The strides that Ty Lavatai, you expect him to make this year, where do you expect him to make strides after seeing action last fall? And a question for Ty. What did you work on in the offseason? Where did you feel you needed to get better to be on the right spot come opening day this year?
Okay. Well, I thought the growth from the Notre Dame game to the Army game was as big a jump that I've ever seen in a quarterback. We were a little discombobulated on the sidelines, just different things going on, but just to see him in the Army game, the way he operated, and it's been my experience. If you can operate in that game, you can operate in any game, because the pressure, the stress, everything in that game. I mean, I've seen some of our great quarterbacks struggle in that game. And so I was encouraged to see Ty. His eyes were a lot clearer than they were in the Notre Dame game. I remember talking to him on the sideline, a little glassy-eyed, but in the Army game, he was clear-eyed. He knew exactly what was going on, things that they were doing. It wasn't a surprise. And so that's what gave me great hope, because if you can play calm and composed in that game, the rest, I mean, you can do it in any other game.
For me, over off season, it's always a big point for me to get better in the running portion of it for me, because I feel like a lot of times I can make bigger plays happen if I just made the move or made the cut. So it was definitely conditioning and my cutting ability this off season. And then another thing, since we have a lot of young guys at A back, B back, all that, it was very important for me, I feel like, to know the offense inside out. So just feeling very confident in everything that anybody else does on the field, like with us on offense, making sure I know what they're doing and they can trust in me, that I can tell them which way to go if they don't know exactly on that play. So just an overall understanding of the offense for me, and just conditioning and cutting was probably the biggest thing for me in the offseason.
John.
John Schofield with Sing Second Sports. For Coach, you brought up the Notre Dame game last year. The Notre Dame game this year is right here in Baltimore, which is kind of a cool thing. I know that you're looking forward to September 3rd in Delaware before that, but what's it going to be like, playing Notre Dame, Coach Freeman kind of putting a new face on that program? Are you looking forward to anything in particular with this game being in our own backyard this year?
Well, I haven't really thought much about it. Just as you said, I mean, in this profession, you have to stay in the moment, from spring ball, and you kind of forecast a little bit as a head coach and have some vision about things. But if you jump too far ahead, our main focus really right now is get ready for Delaware. Kind of back to Wag's point of the things the last 2 years, I feel like I understand the BYU game we didn't practice, but we had a bad start last year. I didn't feel like we didn't play very good at all versus Marshall. So the emphasis is to get off to a great start to Delaware. But with that said, to your question, it's going to be exciting, to play there. We've played them before here, and there have been some close games, And so obviously a great football program. Coach Freeman is a great football coach. He's going to do great things. But, it's always exciting playing them. And playing Baltimore, close to, Annapolis is going to be awesome too.
Coach, you mentioned the Army game a couple minutes ago. How much of a confidence boost can it be for this entire team to have finished up on that note last year?
Well, we've definitely built off that, but really after the game, I wasn't surprised. Just some of the things that I saw early on, I actually knew early on. I've been in so many of those games. I played in 24 of those games, so I've seen a lot. So early on, the line of scrimmage to me was very important, and they couldn't knock us off the ball. They had a long run early on, but we just misfit a run. We were okay, and we settled down after that. But when they couldn't knock us off the ball early on, I knew we'd be okay. We just had to settle down. And the run that actually we showed our team 2 clips. One of the clips was our first touchdown, or actually 3. Ty, when he ran a quarterback draw, and he ran over both of their safeties. Both of their safeties met him like at the 3-yard line. He ran them both over. The other one was when we scored from a quarterback sneak from the 3-yard line. And 2 years ago, we couldn't get in from the millimeter line. The line was so close. When the ball was laying on the line, you would have swore that the ball was over the end zone. But we scored from a quarterback sneak from 3 yards out, which is a big difference, and a 4th down, which symbolizes our team, which is our attitude, elite effort. And it was 4th down, and you just see all 11 guys just swarming to the football. So all of that gave credence to who we are, the toughness part, our effort. So our guys got to see there's a reason we do all these pursuit drills. There's a reason that we practice like this, because we have to be tougher than anybody else. And it was great for us because that's a program that prides themselves in toughness, and we showed that we were a tougher football program. And so that, I really believe it's catapulted our young guys. Because sometimes, why are we doing this? Why do we run that way? How come we're running so much? And so that game showed to them, this is why. This is why you do all those things in 11 months leading up to that, for that moment. And I think our young guys now understand, why we do all those things.
Gary?
Gary Lambrecht, NavySports.com. Kenny, and also for Kip, the offensive line last year, no secret, would you have 9 or 10 different guys start? Kip was the only one that posted every week, in addition to all the other challenges. But coming into camp and getting started in camp, how is just the mechanics of it looking, timing, technique, things like that, and how challenging is it going to be to get ready for another really tough schedule with so many young guys? It's such a key part of especially this football team.
Great question, Gary. But again, all of that starts because even the guys that are practicing now, some of them are injured that played last season, so we got new guys now. But it started in our off-season training, the way we train, to toughen our guys up. We got their sled. I think they recognize it now, but their sled is the farthest part of the field, so they have to run the farthest. There's just some things to toughen our guys up, little things that we do. There's different drills that, Coach Ingram and Coach O'Rourke have implemented. But going against our defense, our defense gives the most looks. You can see the other two service academies, they struggle moving the ball against, our defense. So going against our defense every spring is a christening for our players, especially on offense. We don't just sit there. We move around, we stem, we blitz different people. And some coaches, you come in spring, you say, hey, just play very vanilla. We don't want all of that. But I want Coach Newberry to say, hey, put all of your stuff in. I'd rather see that. And to me, it was similar to the Air Force game where Air Force gave us all those different looks last year. And so going against Newberry's defense, it helps our, especially our offensive line. Because unless you know your rules and exactly what you're doing, it can be a very difficult practice because people aren't stagnant. They move around. So all of that, the offseason, going against Coach Newberry's defense is definitely going to prepare our O-line for this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with Coach. Going against the defense is our best way to get ready for the season. A lot of young guys going to have to step up this year. A couple older guys that maybe haven't seen the field as much need to play a lot. And we take reps against the defense every time we go live, and I think that's our grace. And we were watching film today, and some of the teams we play are a little stagnant. It's a little bit easier to kind of focus your eyes and get ready. But the defense gives us these reps that are immaculate to anything we can see. I love going against them. I love how our young guys can really mature through this process going into the season because we're going to need them to step up. And as you said, last year we had 10 different combinations. Everyone's going to have to play. Everyone's going to have to get a rep in the game. So I love how we're getting mature through these times right now.
Wags?
For Kip, Bijan, and John, can you talk about what it means to be voted a team captain?
Obviously, it's a great honor. You have 170 plus people on the team. They've kind of delegated us three to be the ones that lead them, and I guess Ty also has that leadership role, being a quarterback and also a pivotal member on the team. But you think about it, we're kind of unique to other teams on the yard. We play in a different conference. It's a little bit more upbeat, up-tempo. It's a lot of moving parts, and we're not doing it all by ourselves, obviously. But I feel like it's a great leadership opportunity for us going into the field we're going into after this, just having that ability to connect with guys from all places. Nobody's the same. It's really been cool for us to learn and grow with them.
Yeah, so the Naval Academy, obviously everyone commissions and they're going off to be officers, so we're all going to be leaders in the military after this. But to be voted by other people like that to be captains, it's really a tremendous honor. I think back to when I was a freshman, when Ford Higgins was one of our captains, and just how much I looked up to him, thinking I would never go to that level kind of, but now I'm a captain sitting up here. So it's really surreal, but it's a great honor, and I'm very happy to do it.
yeah, like they said, it's a great honor. I'm so excited to be here leading with these three and Ty, and we've got a great group of young guys and older guys that are taking a great leadership role. Everyone on the field is a leader in their position group and is a leader on the team, and it's a great thing to see that we don't have to be as involved as maybe some captains would otherwhere, where that team has a great leadership perspective to it. So we're in a great spot leading this team.
It should also be noted that Kip is also the captain of all the team captains at the Naval Academy as well. Keith Mills.
Yeah, Wag stole my thunder. I was going to ask the same question, so I'll take it to a different level. And let's John, this is for you. The kids from Naps come down, the natural plebes that are going to be playing this year. What's your message to them? What did you learn from guys when you came in? And what will you spread? What kind of message are you going to tell those guys about what it means to be a Naval Academy football player?
First off, definitely in our position group, I'm just telling the guys you have to be a sponge, kind of. You got to absorb as much as you can. It's a lot of information, especially, Naps learns a little bit more than direct because they're kind of in the system a little bit longer. But there's a lot to know in a little bit of time. So it's kind of a growing process. My plebe year, I kind of stressed to them, I wasn't the top dog. I was kind of buried in the depth chart. It's not what you do with what you have, or it's what you do with what you have. And you could go, why me, why this, or you can just put your head down and get to work. And I've kind of stressed that within my group. And I feel like it's really kind of grown within not only our group, but just in the culture of Navy football, this idea that, you're coming in, it's a little bit different. You're plebe summer, you're not running. You maybe been out of football for 6 months, and it's just how much better can you get to a point where they'll have to play you. And I'm kind of stressing that to them right now. So know your plays, know what you need to do, and it'll all come.
Phil Bergman.
For any of the players, what excites you the most about the team this year?
I'd say just the camaraderie. I've never seen, Coach Niemott's has talked about it all the time after practice, but we're getting after each other, which is a really good feeling. And it's not like a anything malicious, no malicious intent behind it, but it's just kind of like a good, fun, I'm going to work you and you're going to work me, and we're going to come here and we're going to get better every day. So that's just really exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. That iron sharpens iron mentality that we kind of have going. Guys are pushing each other all the time. I think it brings a really competitive level to our practice and to our workouts, and I think that's really going to help us out this fall.
I'd say probably the athleticism on the offense at least side. That's really all I really look at. But the athleticism in the backfield right now is probably one of the best I've seen while I've been here, or kind of beforehand. So I'm really excited to see how that all plays out in the open field with our A-backs and B-backs, and just seeing how it all plays out. Yeah.
I'd say there's the love aspect. Not only is it the love for the team, but everyone loves football. This team loves football, and we're itching to go play Delaware.
Gene.
Yeah, Ken, kind of a bigger picture question for you. You've been in this business a long time and seen the landscape of college football evolve, and to the point where now it's probably changing more quickly than ever with NIL and realignment and the portal, all that stuff. Do you feel that your job's more demanding because of all that stuff, or are you in some ways insulated at the academy with what's required of all the students who are here?
No, you have to be in touch with things. because it's our world, it's our profession. Chet and I talk a lot about things that are transpiring, some of his meetings and some of his constituents that he talks to, and same thing to me. I'm on the AFCA board, so I know a lot of things that are going on. Some of it may not affect us, but eventually it does affect us. We're getting ready for our season and those kinds of things, but you always have to have an eye on all that stuff. Some of it doesn't affect us. The portal, somebody asked me before, well, you don't have to worry about the portal. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect us from the standpoint that we don't go to the portal like everybody else, but people still leave our school. And kind of what we've tried to do, where I've tried to focus on our staff as we've talked, all these guys are assembling this talent. We're going to build from within. We just have guys, we're going to develop our players. We got tough kids. But those kind of things that we've always done, toughness, closeness, being smart, being disciplined, just try to focus on that as far as our team roster. But I don't know. Like I said, Chet and I have a lot of comments on realignment, what would happen. nobody really knows, and I don't know how it trickled down to us. So you kind of keep your eye on that, but most important, just try to get our team ready.
Joe Miller.
Coach, for you, you added Chuck Peterson to the offensive coaching staff this offseason. What are you hoping, obviously a veteran coach, what are you hoping that he brings to the staff and into your coaching room?
He's already brought so much. Just in our staff room, I mean, Coach Johnson, and I've said this many times, we're option disciples of Paul Johnson. We learned from him. Ashley Ingram was at Northern Alabama when they're Division III, winning a lot of games. Coach Dupay, did his stuff at Cal Poly. Coach Yukaitis is also, from our tree. Coach McDonald's from our tree. So I feel like there's three different ways of looking at option football. And it's been great as we've talked. He's just his Rolodex of ideas. We did this against in Wyoming. And he's been coaching so long, he goes way back. 2001, we did this. And when we did that, and we did this, Wyoming did this. But I think a lot of his ideas are definitely going to help us. A lot of them we've started to implement. But he's always been a well-respected football coach, prior to coming here. But we just thought he'd be the perfect fit, not just from the football piece, but also from the academy. So you can send a guy on the road when you don't have to talk about, the mission and honor code and all that stuff. He already understands a lot of what it takes to come to a service academy. So I think both of those components have lent itself to having a great addition to our staff.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what does it mean to this team to have two specialists like Bijan and Riley that are upper echelon at the level they are? What does that add to the team?
Well, I think it's twofold. I mean, it's we've asked Bijan to do certain things in years past. But we're going to ask a lot of him this year, being his final year. We always want to be careful with his leg, and, he's done a really good job of managing that and try to make sure that he can, do all that we've asked. And Riley's actually one of our better athletes. Bijan and Riley are actually really good athletes. You watch them run in the summer. They're running up there with the skill guys. And so it allows us to have different options. Coach Caniglio is a pretty creative guy, and so it allows him to do a lot of different things with Ryan as our punter. So the special teams is I guess the other part I'm thinking about, special teams we got to improve on a ton this year. Things that I showed in our team meeting, we're up 17. We should be up 17-0 against Houston at halftime, but we gave up a punt. We go up 21-7 and take all the steam out of us, SMU, and I think we're about to blow them out of the stadium, and then we return a kick. Air Force, we had a snap over our head. I think we had a roughing the kicker, and also we dropped a punt. Way more special team blunders we had in one season I can remember in all of my whole career. We might have one of those a year. And so that's also been a big emphasis to eliminate all of those things and don't beat ourselves while using the weapons of Bijan and Riley. I think are going to be huge weapons for us this year.
Wags.
Last year, you said it was the toughest schedule Navy's ever played during your time here. You would have figured that this year it would ease up just by natural progression, but a lot of the metrics have you once again playing one of the hardest schedules in the country. Can you talk about that and the challenge you face with this?
This is, and we talked about, we had a team meeting about this, and I told our guys about it last year, and I told them about this year. Not from a standpoint to make complaints or to be afraid. This is what we're at, and this is where we're going to go, and this is our opponent, so we have to get ready. So anything that we do, there's nothing personal, but the standard is going to be super high. But we also showed with them their games, again, losing to Houston, 28-20 on the road, and we had the ball late to win the game. SMU, we lost 31-24. We lose to, and we had the ball late. Losing to Cincinnati, 27-20 with the ball late, and we got a chance to go. And we were going for two. There wasn't going to be a tie. We weren't going to overtime. So there's so many of those games. It was 7-3 going into the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter against Air Force. There's so many games, and normally our staff, we're looking. Was it you, Strauss, that sent me? But our staff has had more one possession wins since I've been head coach than any other team in the country. So we're normally used to playing those close games, but last year we didn't finish. And so those are the big things that we're trying to make sure we get done. Doing the right things, touching the line, taking care of the ball, no missed assignments, which has normally been who we are. And so far, I've been pleased with the progress, Wags, in those areas.
Ward.
Ward Carroll, Sing Second Sports. Ty, Coach mentioned the first score at Army-Navy this year, that quarterback draw. I remember staying on the sideline and just this intangible feeling that the atmosphere completely changed at that point, and that whatever doubt lingered about your ability to run this offense just evaporated. Did you feel that at the time, and do you think you'll be able to carry that momentum of that great win into this season?
I would say going into the game, I probably felt the most prepared. I felt before any game. I felt like that game was very personal. It was like the last game of the season, one that meant a lot to our program as a whole. And going into it, I felt just, usually I get like nervous before games just a little bit until I get hit for the first time. And going into that one, it just felt like everything just was like picture perfect. Like I could just see it all. Nothing was really like popping out at me that was like something I hadn't seen before. So after that first touchdown run, it really just like calmed me down completely, because the year before we didn't score. So I told myself too, if I ever before the game, I was like, if we get on that 1 yard line or something, there's no way that we're not getting in that end zone. Like I would do everything possible to get in the end zone, and we did on that one. And then on the second one, and just like the whole atmosphere, I felt like everyone was just very comfortable. I felt like no one really felt like the moment was too big. Felt like they're in a spot they hadn't been in before. And we just kept fighting, kept pushing. And then going into fall camp now, and even spring, I felt like just confidence-wise for me and the whole offense, we know we can do it. We just have to put it together. Just got to trust in each other, trust in our coaches who have taught us everything we need to know. And I feel like moving forward right now, at least, it looked like our first practice in shoulder pads to me felt really smooth. Felt like everything was going the way it needed to go. There was hiccups here and there, but overall, I feel very good about how we're moving forward and progressing from that win against Army. So,
Dave.
Question for John and the coach as well. The AAC loaded again offensively this year. What gives you guys cause for confidence that you'll be able to dial up the right mix defensively, and where do you see you guys making defensive strides this fall?
I think Coach Newberry's done a good job of getting on us during the offseason, and then also establishing with us. We had a great player in Diego Fago last year. He's no longer with us. We're kind of a no-name defense, but that doesn't mean like we're going to play like a no-name defense. By the end of the year, like we'll all have a name, is kind of the mentality that we need to have. We know the AAC is a high-powered offense. A lot of teams go fast, so a lot of our stuff has been aimed at conditioning. How can we get faster? How can we perform better, under the heat, under constant pushing of the ball? But I'm really excited for this year. I think the coaching staff on the defensive side has us in a great position. I think the offense has given us tons of looks, started in this fall camp and then also in the offseason to get us prepared. And just the scout guys especially, and our wide receivers in general are super good. But I'm excited about this young core. I think we have a bunch of ball players on the side, at cornerback, safety, linebacker up front, and I think anybody can play and we can get the job done this fall.
Well, just, in 2018, when that offseason, when I was looking for who the next coordinator would be, there being an offensive guy, just there are two things that were very critical to me. I wanted to create confusion, because I know for the quarterback and O-line, if you can create confusion, you play slow. And the second one, there's the personal option football. So a lot of times in my discussion with talking to people, we had great schemes. Have you ever played against option football? If they said no, in my mind, the interview was over. I might have asked a couple more questions, but it was just being cordial. In my mind, I'd already written them off. But he fit both of those criteria for me. Just, he's super creative. He's constantly pushing the envelope. Every year, he's always studying people. He's always got some stuff. So he's staying ahead of the curve. And obviously, he's really good against option stuff. And so I think because of those two things, it gives me great hope, because he doesn't rest on things. He's always, every year, evaluating what else can we do. Last year we caught Houston off guard with some of our 3 high safety stuff. You know what I mean? And so that helped us, and then he changed. And so every year he's evolving. But the one thing that doesn't change, which gives me the greatest hope, is he's come and equated it to elite eat, effort, attitude, and toughness. But that's always been us running to the football. We got to play harder than everybody else, and he continues to do that. We finished our 2 practices on defense. One was pursuit drill, and the other day we did bags. And I love to see that because you're dead tired at the end of practice, and you did the hardest drill at the end. But there's a reason we ran to the ball on the 4th down in the 4th quarter against Army. I mean, our kids play that way in the games.
John.
John Schofield with Sing Second Sports again. For the 3 captains, and we can start with Kip. Talk about what your years in this program have meant to you, not only on the football field, but the exposure you've had in the hall, creating you to be leaders of character and consequence who are going to go out from here and join the fleet. And if you can, after you describe that evolution, November is right around the corner. I know I'm asking you to go beyond Delaware again, but what do you hope to get for service selection when it comes out in November?
Yeah, so I think first, our plebe year, he already talked about Ford Higgins. So he was one of my biggest mentors. I still talk to Ford to this day. But we also had David Forney. It's so special I get to wear 68 this year. I was so honored. I'm excited for this year for that. And then in the hall, I mean, it's my best friends. They're on this team, and then kind of the next tier guys are in the hall. I love my 2 old roommates both played lacrosse. I love those guys. Excuse me, and I love the academy. The people here are awesome. I love our athletic program. Being the captain of the academy is kind of a new lens I have to look through things. But meeting all me and John had the opportunity to go meet all the captains and kind of the commanders of the brigade, and meeting all those guys, kind of see them all. We already knew them. We already knew those guys, and I love them. This is one of the greatest places in the world. And then hopefully I get pilot.
Yeah, kind of growing up in the Navy football program here, it's been great. It teaches you kind of a lot of toughness, outside of the military, but that you can really use in your future military career. Being a leader, you always have to be on top of your game, no matter what. There's no excuses. And I think, our program really just kind of emphasizes that, and that's great going forward. Also, Kip's my roommate during the school year. I'm great friends with John. I have a lot of great friends on the team. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than right here. And then this fall, I'm not 100% sure, but probably a Marine Corps ground.
I grew up in Maryland, so I've always been very fond of the Naval Academy and Coach Ken himself, same way as my family. So when I had the opportunity to come here, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I've seen a lot of things as I've gone through kind of these 4 years rounding up. We know we've lost a lot of people from our class with COVID and whatnot. But just what Kip and Bijan were harping on, the kind of camaraderie has just always brought me back. And just knowing that there's great people here and the fulfillment that comes with graduating from a place like this, going through a place like this, beats nothing. And I couldn't imagine going somewhere else and knowing that there's an opportunity here to do these things, and I would just be pushing them to the side if I didn't come here. Hoping to service select intelligence community come the fall, but yeah, I wouldn't change anything if I had to do it again.
Keith.
Yeah, this is along the same lines of what you guys just talked about a minute ago. But Kip, as a would-be pilot, have you seen the Top Gun movie yet? The new one?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. I've seen it. I think I saw it 5 times. I actually saw it with Coach Ken.
5 times?
Yeah, when the Niemots went and saw it, me and Jamie Romo and Joe Petty went, and we sat next to him.
What would be your name? What would be your? You thought that yet?
No, I haven't even thought about it.
Okay.
I'll get
Okay.
back to you.
With that said, you guys mentioned Diego. I had a chance to talk to Diego a couple of weeks ago at the Ravens camp and talk to his new defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, and asked him about Diego. And he said, Ty or Kip, whoever wants to answer this, and this is a compliment to Coach Niemot. He said that when Diego walked in, because he played here at the academy, he had instant credibility with his teammates. He mentioned Calais Campbell, who'd been in the league for 15 years. He saw him over there talking to him about what it was like to represent the U.S. Naval Academy and play football. When you hear that, and you hear Mike McDonald said one big reason why Diego has credibility too is because he played for Coach Niumatalolo, who's one of the most respected in the entire country. Kip or John or Ty, when you hear that, what do you think of in terms of your own status right now as a captain at the academy and that tradition of what Diego and so many guys before you carried on?
It's an honor. It's huge. Diego, the guys that have come before us. I mean, Diego is still in the league right now, and Malcolm and Cam. I knew them both pretty well, but it's just really special to see the opportunity from this program. Like, there's, especially kind of getting new guys in. Like, there's an opportunity to go to the league. These guys proved it. If you're good enough, they're gonna be looking for you. You're gonna have a chance to go. But then just kind of like afterlife, being a captain, like all these guys, you kind of meet, you get texts from old guys that have done it. Just the opportunities that they've had to be really successful in life, and kind of modeled after Coach Ken, just choosing the right. If you keep your head down and work, like, the world is yours, and this is the greatest institution to do that from. We're gonna have the greatest opportunities in the world to go out, like, lead people, and then maybe like later in the day lead multi-billion-dollar corporations.
I think it established, like, being comfortable while being uncomfortable is kind of a mantra that this place builds, and it also allows you to become a leader. Like I touched on earlier, you're reaching out to a bunch of new people, new faces. Not everybody's from the same background, and having that ability to learn and understand as a captain, as Diego had last year, is just so pivotal in your development as anything that he'd want to do in life. So him transitioning over to the NFL, he has those leadership qualities that he developed here. He has those personality traits, that integrity, that humility, and it's easy to be able to take that and apply it to everywhere else you go in life.
Questions? Sheehan.
Hi, Sheehan Stanwyck Birch, CBS Sports Network. The last few years, you guys have always had a team motto or saying. Have you had one this year, and where did it come from?
Kind of a no mantra this year, no motto. It's kind of like our backbone this season. We're kind of just going in. We don't need like a motto to kind of establish what we want to get done this year. We're working hard. We're leaving no doubt. We can put all those kind of short-term words together, short-term phrases together. But I think everybody in the locker room knows that we're gritty guys. We're going to get after it, and we just have that chip on our shoulder. So no motto this year, but there's a lot more to it.
Thank you.
Phil.
This one's for Bijan Nichols. You're the second kicker to be a captain in Navy history. There was a punter in 1930. What does it mean to represent special teams players in a leadership role here at the academy?
I mean, obviously a huge honor. And one thing that I always try to push myself on during workouts is like I want to win reps when I get to run against the skill guys or do anything like that. Like Ty and I were lifting together this summer. We were always really pushing each other. So just showing the rest of the team, yeah, I'm a kicker. I'm not down in the trenches like Kip. I'm not making big hits like John or anything like that. But I'm definitely gonna bust my butt during workouts to show the guys that hey, I'm here too. I'm not just off to the side kicking. I'm gonna work next to you. I'm gonna push you. You better push me back, and we're gonna get better. So being a kicker, it's not a traditional role for my position to fill in culture-wise with the team, but I've been really happy to kind of do that this off season especially.
Questions? All right, players and coach. Oh, one more, Randy Cross. Go ahead, Randy.
As for Coach, the average football fan would look at sort of your roster, especially your offense, and say, well, they're kind of a smallish offensive line, and there's kind of a smallish group of running backs. With your history in the option offense, where are they kind of missing the point where that can be an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is the way we play, mostly, Randy, just our, coming off the football, our pad level. And speed, as you talk about, as Ty talked about, it's probably as fast as we've ever been. And the speed is speed. Now, some guys have speed, and they might be a little bit taller than our speed, but we'll take speed if it's a little shorter. We just want speed. And so it was interesting because Marcus Thomas, who played here, and somebody's doing the Kool-Aid on Aaron Donald, after the Super Bowl win. And I was just thinking, wait a minute, we beat them when he played for Pittsburgh. And Marcus Thomas, who's now our player personnel director, was the guy who caught a pass that helped us beat him. But I see him walking next to our A-backs this year. They're the same height. I mean, that whatever that year was, 2014. I mean, they're all the same height. But I think our kids, we won't back down from anybody. So maybe we're not everybody's 340, but we got a lot of guys in just below the 300 mark and maybe 270 to 300. But our kids come off the ball. I think our strength coach does a really good job, Randy, and Coach Fitz. And I was encouraged, too, with him saying he's been here close to a decade, and he said that this team is the most athletic team that he's ever trained. So it's encouraging. So guys might be a little bit bigger, but I think just the way we play on both sides of the ball, just running to the football and our low pad level.
I've actually got one for Kip. You're the fourth team captain from Memphis over, I think, the last 6 years. What is it about Memphis that breeds a captaincy?
Yeah, that's a good question. All the guys from Memphis, it's not, I don't say it's a cult, but it's a close group of guys from Memphis. Even in the hall, kind of the Memphis guys, we have all our little jokes. We throw up kind of the M with our hands. And it's just it's a camaraderie thing within it, and that we're all tight and we're all like evolving after each other. But then I think Memphis is just a great place to recruit. I mean, Coach Ingram was always there growing up. He was in Memphis a lot recruiting guys. It's a hotbed for great athletes, and just there's a maturity level from guys playing there. We play like big 6A football, and a lot. I mean, it's kind of like here. We're a little bit undersized. Our schools aren't as big as they are in East Tennessee, but we come out and we compete for state championships. We love to compete. We love to get better, and we love to just push the envelope on how good we can be in Memphis.